20 years ago, we expected from software engineers no more than proficiency with their primary programming language and some decent knowledge of the platform they worked with. 10 years ago, we demanded understanding of clouds, delivery pipelines, and an ability to run the systems reliably. Today, in 2025, when AI blew up in our faces, the expectations shift again. I talked with Mikhail Druzhinin, a CEO and founder of Fluency AI, about the modern expectations, the importance of feedback loops, and the new superpower emerging in software business. If you find that interesting, smash that like button down below, and of course subscribe to the channel, as I plan to keep publishing the insightful conversations.
I start debating more and more with myself. It's like, okay, but like what we're looking at engineers, what quality needed, like what business need, especially nowadays, and what overall needs for people to be successful.
We need product engineers. So it's not people who write code. It's not even software developers. So we need problem solvers, part of whose work is, coding, but it's like just a part of the work. The main thing is that they need to solve a business problem first, and it happens so that they do that partially with code. So software proficiency and architecture is required, but rather you need to come up with the ideas how to do that fast with appropriate quality and so on.
It's actually not quite new. When I was working in Amazon, that was basically definition of senior engineer, person who operate on a problem statement and can move it forward. And actually, like for progression, for like principal engineer, it was like person who operate on not fully defined problem statements. Something wrong here, or we want to go this direction, and clearly define like, okay, this direction means this. That's how we approach it. That's what need to happen to get there. And eventually writing some code.
We just learned that increase in seniority comes not only with technical mastery, but rather the scale of a problem alongside with vagueness of its solution. While junior engineers can write the code to solve a strictly defined technical problem, like writing in SQL to find all the customers with spendings more than 2,000 euro from a PostgreSQL database, the principal engineers would work on going to a new market. What we even need to start selling in the UK? A separate cluster, new tax system. The principal engineer will figure it out and facilitate an appropriate solution.
What else from your perspective getting needed from engineer?
I would say the big skill is to decide what way you go with the problem solution. Several ways how you can do that is first, let it be solved manually. So basically just hire people to do that. And a lot of customer service is done that way. Next problem is let's automate something. For example, if we have a tax form that needs to be filled or a tax report to be generated, it's deterministic, right? So we can just write some code or generate some code to build a software that will do that for us. But then we proceed with more complex tasks where there are no strict rules, right? Recommendation engines or classification examples. So then the engineer scraps his or her head and say, hey, that's not a job for just a script. It's a job for some kind of machine learning, right? So we need to figure out what is the appropriate data set, train some models, see the output, monitor them, find a way how to improve it, like adding additional data and so on. And then once you got it solved with a recommendation system, you face new challenges, like how do we do marketing for big scale? And then you decide, okay, I need to generate some content, write an article, shoot a video, maybe come up with a set of images, and then you say, okay, that's a job for generative AI, right? So let's try to automate this. Right now we have the content, but now we want to scale it across 10 different channels and do experiments and see how we can figure out what's the best way to market our data. And then you can go, okay, now I need some AI agents orchestration frameworks that would take one agent, it will generate the titles for videos, right? Then the next agent that will generate the scripts for those videos. Then the next one that will generate the video itself and some voice generation that will narrate the video, and then some agent that will publish it, and then something to monitor it, and now you have a whole framework that does the job. What do you think will be required from a software engineer in a 5 years period? Let me know down below in the comment section. Once LLM emerged in 2023, there were tons of speculations how AI will replace engineers. Indeed, code assistants and programming agents transform the engineering job. But there are two surprises. First, instead of replacing engineers, we start to expect traditional jobs like recruitment, sales, and marketing become technical. Second, the AI drastically changes how product managers work.
I'm talking with a lot of different customers right now who's trying to advance something, especially on marketing side. Yeah, everyone become an engineer in a sense. Someone is like go-to-market engineer. So you're like pulling up several systems together, making sure like whole system working and like automating what before took freaking huge team, or like on even on marketing agents, creatives, copy and everything, people who had like 5 people team before, they're like, yeah, now we have one person with like set of automation and superpower, and they go in and they no longer person who do one specific narrow job. Basically, before, let's say, last 10 years, where people make product manager is a pretty big job and everything, it was like 2 distinct roles. One person doing experimentation, talking with the customers, getting information, and figure out that, yeah, across all information, that's probably the most plausible case to move forward. And then you putting it into engineering, because engineering is expensive. You're creating tons of code, you're creating tons of technical debt. If you put the feature up, you cannot get it out anytime soon. So you wanted to make sure you do a lot of measurements and know what exactly you build before you put it into engineering. And let's be fair, also engineers usually like freak out. If I will come with 5 different ideas in a month, all of them is like slightly different direction. People was like, come on, are you out of your mind? It's like, what's going on? Can we pick a course? And building a business right now, it's very clear that basically your superpower is actually you don't know what will work out. In reality, where your customers will pull you. Do they really need your service? You don't know. You like still need to stick something into them. And before it was like presentation, Figma dashboard or something, you're getting some early signals. You're like, yeah, it's probably fine. Then you're going into expensive build. Still 3 from 10 of these expensive builds no one needs. Right now with AI, and I'm talking with a bunch of other founders who doing things right now with AI, building something, especially early prototype, cost almost nothing. I'm seeing people who put like beautiful mobile application literally in a matter of 2 weeks. Something which like 2 years ago probably would took us 2 months-ish, maybe more. And you know what? Like we decided that we'll test idea of mobile application and we'll see how our customers will react to it. And we're not fully even sure what exactly customers need in mobile application. And by the way, that person I'm talking about, they product manager. So that product manager who learned themselves how to build mobile application, and most hilarious conversations there was, yeah, we will hire engineers eventually, but right now it's too much of communication burden even to explain to person what I need, and I probably have 20% idea what I really need. So iterating through it is literally they becoming product engineer, literally putting stuff together, sticking it to the customer, seeing is what reaction you get. Cool. People reacting on it, you put in product analytics, post-hoc or something, start seeing a signal. So instead of people who's yeah, most likely we will use it.
But everybody lies.
That's very nice functionality. We definitely would need it. No one ever opened this page forever. For me, it's every time was an advantage. But now, floor is raised. Now it's becoming a norm. You cannot win without ability to put something quickly into customer hand, getting early feedback, making sure that's the right thing to do, and move forward.
Remember waterfall process? Gather all the requirements, then put them into a huge specification, then start developing. After a year of writing code, the quality assurance part begins. The project completes in 2 years. But here's the kicker. It's outdated, and there's not a single company interested in the product. The cycle is now shortened everywhere, in small startups, in scale-ups, and in large enterprises too.
For one company, they figure out getting new product into customer hand, it was 2 years. Oh my God, you cannot afford 2 years timeline anymore. Even for Amazon, typical timeline was somewhat between like 6 to 9 months. So you start doing something in January, February, you're launching something by reInvent. Cool. Right now, they launched Kiro in literally like 3 or 4 months. That's new AI development, agent tooling, different concept and everything. And for Kiro, I was really surprised because usually Amazon was like, we're doing good launch, we don't tell anyone until we're launching functionality. So you will learn about something new on reInvent. And I bet it will be the case for a lot of things. But now, we launched developer preview, half-baked, and we want your feedback. Now they finally figure out pricing for this stuff. So like, oh yeah, you used it. Like now we know how to price you. Now we know value we're actually giving you from this thing. And 3 months later, they will launch it like, okay, now it's officially production. So even for AWS, approach how they put in stuff into the market changed significantly. That would be a dramatic shift for engineering team. I was reading an article from Andrew Ng from AA Fund, like one of Paramount's of Silicon Valley investments, and they studied a lot of companies they invested in and did not invest in the past, and like execution speed currently is one of the strongest predictor of success. Is basically how quickly you can get something out, how quickly you can iterate on particular ideas, how quickly you can move forward. That's determined is like, are you good or you like just missing out and someone eating your lunch? More and more business pressure will start coming from this angle. It's like, yeah, we need to speed up. We cannot afford 2 years product launch. We cannot afford like 9 months product launch. And back in the days, actually, when systems was like less complex and teams was smaller, yeah, we was launching stuff in like months or two. And launching, it means, I ensure like 1st of February, you have an idea. End of February, you're like, okay, hold these pieces together ready to be in the customer hands. And it will move on. It still have like a lot of ticking bombs and like different depth, but people can use it. And it's like literally from like 0 to something. That's a norm.
Yeah, that means cutting corners from two sides, right? So from one side, as usual, you're cutting corners on future functionality. Mm-hmm. So you're trying to boil down the problem to the very core, saying, hey, we don't need fancy import strategies. We don't need to support all the data source in the world whatsoever. Like we're good with CSV files as data source, right? And then you do one thing that will give out the value right away. So you can probably come up with a working implementation in a month. By the way, we did exactly that. So we use CSV file as an import mechanism and uploading the files to S3. Then we wrote an engine that would translate it to the working DSC7 XML report. And then we would send the report by mail by ourselves to the tax authority. So this is what we did. Yep. Right now, so this is cutting corner from one side. But cutting corners from another side is using AI instead of implementing everything manually and hiring a team of engineers, but rather have a single engineer who can vibe code a lot with their stuff. So they would come up with a front-end application, they would come up with a simple back-end implementation and so on.
Yep, and how you approach totally like whole code base, how you approach building this feature, because typical complaint is like, oh, we'll create technical debt, and that would be like throwaway code, or like I will write something beautiful and throw away. So like classical conflict is like I need to write a beautiful code and it's taking time, and I'm writing beautiful code and it will be throwaway. It's waste of time. We don't waste time of engineering. This one is paradigm shifting for product engineers would be dramatic. And even like a couple of months ago, I was saying like, I don't believe I'm saying that, but like, let's put it like dirty in a way that it's like working barely and it's fine. And we'll iterate on it. And ability to leverage essentially technical debt would become critical from my perspective, because statistically and like specifically looked on stuff, it's literally like 1 of 10 ideas which is like sticking with the customers, like 1 of 10 experiments which is actually getting some traction. 9 of other is like dying. Before this 9 other experiments either was like dead feature in the code base which nobody used, or product manager, like someone is like literally cut it for predictability. They're like, this maybe will not work out, or we don't have like strong evidence that it will work out later. But now, can I have like 10 experiments in parallel and see what will stick to the customers more, where they will get more value? Sometimes in a regulated environment, you can reason about it and predict it.
Yeah. I have a good example right now from our experience of building features. A couple of years ago, if my co-founder would say to support the symbolic expressions for evaluating the fields in the report, like for example, you need to report an earning, right? And you don't know which data you're consuming from the customer. So you need to give the customer the ability to put some kind of a formula. So basically re-implementing part of the Excel in your product. I would say no way. We would need like a lot of time to develop this, test all the edge cases, and we're not even certain it would be useful. Right now, like I thought for 15 minutes, I said, okay, I will get ChatGPT. It will generate me the implementation both on the front end, on the server. It will be beautiful and it will be fast and it will be reliable because I will generate the test as well. I will be able to review the test. And literally in one evening, we came up with a prototype, figure out between ourselves how it works, what's the best user experience for that. And then like next week, we're shipping it to prod. So it's so compressed and it's so enabling to actually go with the features that you don't need to spend a lot of capacity of figuring out how to do it technically, but rather you put AI on it, you get it implemented, and now you think about business problem in the first place. So that's so liberating.
Yeah, I bet it still will require like a lot of work to do to make it properly, but you passed first 80% of the work, put it in front of people, and you will see, do they use it, not? If not, okay, like I will kill it and we'll forget about it. Instead of constant debating around something, you just like, hey, can we get objective data about it? I have opposite shame moment story from the past. we was developing big enterprise application, and it was like one piece of functionality there. And one day business users come up and hey folks, there is bug here which is preventing like some of default flow. And it was like serious bug. And my technical lead looking on it and he's like, yeah, okay, it's barely usable because of this bug right now. But Misha, I have a question. We delivered this functionality 6 months ago. I already forgot about its existence. So how it's happened that they only report it right now? It sounds like they start using it only right now. And he like, damn, a lot of people was screaming that it's most critical functionality ever they needed, and it was like business critical, everyone was needing it. And they start using it only 6 months after, apparently.
Yeah,
yes.
Exactly.
It was 2014. We barely had observability, and it was no much of like product analytics available, and specifically where we was working. So yeah, we literally don't know if they're using it or not, except feedback, but this was remarkable moment. Are they really using it? And we spent so much time polishing it and making it right because functionality was complex. And he's like, no one even touched it. And apparently we did not fit into business case properly. So it was half useful. And we're like, wow.
That's a very sad story. You should have no hard feelings. Previously, I saw engineers fighting for their implementation, or fighting for their way to do things because they used their previous experience. It showed good results in the past. So they stick to it and they will literally spend weeks debating what's the best way to name an interface, a real world.
Naming is important.
Exactly. But do you call this adapter or some facades? They will literally spend weeks on it. And now you need to adopt the attitude of throwing away the code. So you wrote something, it works, yeah, it's beautiful, but it's not used by anyone. Throw away, implement something else which is actually used. So detach your ego from the code you write. I have an example about that. So I wanted to help myself learn playing StarCraft 2 better. So what I wipe coded is an advisor for that. Like it's not finished. But what was amazing is that what I was able to come up with a relatively working solution in just 2 evenings. So I wipe coded the whole front end part that would accept the replay, like replays of the games that I played. And then using some library which would read this replay, I vibe coded the backend implementation that would extract the information in the text form, feed it to ChatGPT, and then giving me the analytics, right? Like saying, hey, you don't have enough workers at this point of the game. Here you put the attack being behind in upgrades and so on. So that was amazing. Like I eventually dropped it out because I had a startup to run, right? But that was a very fun experiment. That's cutting corners from another side.
That's really cool. I feel like part of like the system and like relationship between business, product, and engineering equalize it in a way how it was because of several reasons, and obviously cost of code, and also like one of another examples I had back in the days is because of putting something into your release train is expensive. Like people start inflating things, and instead of what's the smallest piece of functionality we can give to people to do it, they're like, okay, yeah, since it's taking your beautiful engineers forever to agree and implement on something, like we will put it the most comprehensive way so we don't need to talk with you twice or three times. Like I have like two stories about it. Like one of the story is beautiful. We worked with a business here in New York, and like basically CEO was like, hey, I need to launch this functionality in literally 2 months. There is like a couple of business objectives. There is like literally very strong reasons why I need it. Like, okay, cool. And product managers who work there, they like put beautiful spec and everything, like nice, comprehensive solution, everything. And we're looking at it, it's like, yeah, but it will take whole team for like at least half of year. Like a bit of conflict. I need something in the months, half of year for a whole team. We literally sit together, 3 of us, product CEO and me, and like, okay, let's go through each piece and stop. Like, is it really critical? Is it something which definitely will bring this value or not? And at some point we crystallized why CEO wanted this launch. So apparently he did not need it everything. He needed like one specific thing to like show to the partners, and like whole chain of event unfold out of it. And like, okay, cool. Out of this, is this functionality needed? Not really, not really, not really. So we literally cut all of the scope from this like 6 months project for 6 people to like 1 person in a month. It's like, yeah, 1 person in a month fit it, and it will be fine. Yeah, we know we're leaving like this huge piece behind, and we'll have to pay it. But will we pay it or not depends actually on like partnership discussion. If this partnership discussion materialize, okay, we know we have a bill to pay. And we're borrowing like freaking tons of leverage out of it. For me, it's more option trading, leverage trading, where you're like, oh, you know what? Like I'm paying right now 1/3 of what I can afford, but I'm playing for the whole 1/3. Downside of it, downside is crucial, because if later you would not, if like something will go wrong and you're not able to pay it, you're default. You're like out of business. So risk is increasing significantly while you're doing it. But that's one of the story. Another story was like opposite and also hilarious. We was building risk solution for one of investment banks. And basically because every big solution is like complex system and everything, business decided to go slightly different route. They given us small feature, and the small feature is implemented. Giving us another small feature is implemented. And on third small feature, I'm looking on it, pulling out like business owner there and say like, hey dude, is this tree connected? He like, yeah, it's connected. And person like smart. Person was rocket science smart, because he literally was building rockets before was doing trading. And okay. I'm like, dude, is it like tree connected? He's like, yeah, it's connected. I'm like, why the hell you did not tell us about it? He's like, you know, it's every time hassle with you folks. When I will put comprehensive solution, you're so overcomplicated. So I never get in results, and exactly. I need to get results. So I decided that I figure out the best way to work with you is like spoon feed you small pieces. So he literally, in his head, architected whole solution and spoon feeded small pieces. It was like totally wrong. Like technical approach was there, like so flawed and so complex, but he get his result. I'm like, never do it again. So now we're doing all three in a proper way, because otherwise we'll not get like functionality which you need. But
the guy accidentally discovered that if you do the work breakdown properly, then you can move fast and iterate.
But he was not clear upfront about like real reasons, and he find out some like lame half-ass excuses why he needed this like pieces of functionality. But otherwise he's like, you know what, like I come into you, like if I will put hold this project, you will tell me I will get it by end of year, and I have like my customers on my neck who need it, and who like, and I also need to see like some progress. So like I'm traded off like risk of wrong implementation for having something. And in reality, he gets solution literally in like 3 months for him. So yeah, that's pressure was there. It will continue to be there in a way. But I mentioned before, like risk is increasing. So like, how do you think how we'll mitigate this risk?
What exactly?
Like basically risk of we started something and we accumulated too much of a debt, or we like you built white coded solution, but now it's stick, and now you have like tons of users flooded to you, and solution is not yet ready for all of them, and like 25 corner cases blowing up to your face, stuff like this.
No, I see a couple of approaches here. There is a famous story of some wipe coder who put an application into production and then discovered a whole lot of security issues there. Or another example where like the wipe coded solutions asked for 2FA, right? But would give you the number that you need to put into the field in the interface. Yeah, that was funny. But yeah, how do you mitigate this? Is a couple of things. First of all, if you wipe coded something in 2 weeks, put it into the front of the people, and then you got a flood. So one strategy is, okay, that's great news. I just validated product market fit. I pause for a second. I got a couple of engineers. I do it properly now because I know it's validated, and put an appropriate version further. Second thing is probably if you're not completely blind, you would put some control and just cut 80% of the corners, right? So essentially what I've been talking during my talks is that you probably can skip on the 80% of the best practices in software engineering, except CI/CD pipeline.
Did you even say that's out of loud right now?
What do you mean?
That you can skip like 80%?
Yeah! Oh, shit. Yeah.
I told you, like, I don't believe I would say it like a year ago.
Yeah, exactly. I think I wouldn't either. Maybe a couple of years, 3 years ago.
3 years ago, like, you're like insane. Come on, like, skipping all safety measures?
Yeah, so the only measure you need, CI/CD pipeline, so you put the things in production fast. However, we have this levels.io guy who doesn't have CI/CD at all. He just push the PHP files to FTP and somehow it works for him, but okay, that CI/CD pipeline, put things into production fast, and then just don't put the secrets into the code. That's it. That's all you need actually. So.
Yeah, OWASP top 10 vulnerabilities becoming like pretty good thing. Like even CI/CD pipeline, I would argue here it's like you don't need CI/CD pipeline. You need a reliable way to quickly put something out in a way that it will not break something else. So like commits, we deploy on everything right now from hub. So I even sometimes don't like my biggest problem right now is to make sure I'm notified when like all builds happen and like when new rollout happened for prod, and that's it, because sometimes like it's taking extra minute or so and you're like, is it already deployed, is not yet deployed? That's basically it. But like testing there, like pulling up stuff is like making sure you did not broke anything else, that's type of thing. And another piece I believe would be like really important from quick iteration perspective is actually both product and system observability. So in the sense of like, do I know what features I use it? Do I know how often they use it? Do I know how my system feel right now? Do I know like where I have bottlenecks in my system? Because one of the things which can happen, you can miss actually take off from some usage, and your business users would be like screaming about it. And worst thing to happen in life when like someone calling your CEO, me in this time, is like, hey, your functionality is not working here. What the hell? We have critical something right now, and it's becoming fire.
Yeah.
From this perspective, it's I talked with another founder literally yesterday, and he was battling some performance degradation on a prod for last like almost 2 or 3 weeks, and they find basically they were sending too much of data from a backend back to the front end, and that's why it's like taking longer. Whole UI was degrading, and a lot of this thing. And why it's happened? Like someone cut a corner. They was moving fast. Someone like instead of like pagination and thinking like what I returning as a data set, they like, oh yeah, it will be fine, and it was fine for a while until he get like few big customers
Production data set.
who
Yes.
get like big production
Exactly.
data set, and apparently it's going down. And our discussion with him, like, yeah, when we start talking, they was putting like little observability in place, and I'm like, okay, you need to like monitor a couple of places, like amount of traffic, like number of requests, and see like what's
Yeah.
changing and see how it's going.
Yeah.
And that will become
Yeah,
like
you basically need only 4 golden standards for the beginning, and then you need to just iterate on the business metrics. Throughput, latency, errors, and saturation.
Yep.
So
that's basically it for critical pieces. But I think like together with it, for managing risks, one another critical piece for software engineers would be is more full understanding of a system and interconnection between different pieces. Basically, hey, if you'll start having like 10x or 100x traffic here in this place, what will start happening in the system? And like how this ripple effect will propagate. Some of this you will not know, but some pieces you should be able to reason about and have like good understanding like what will happen if I will do it. And 2 reasons why I would need it. First of all, to more proficiently cut corners. in a sense. So I'm literally
Okay.
thinking about some Formula One analogy. It's basically like, yeah, to get through this corner, the most efficient way is this. Like, yeah, you can go slowly, you can go like accurately, but you need to go in like literally full speed and get through it. Like, what's the most efficient way out of it? Which will not flip your car, which will not make you hit basically the wall, that's kind of stuff. And for doing this, you will need to understand whole freaking aerodynamics of a machine you're driving and like how it will react on a turn.
Yeah.
That's why I think before people was moving slow, because yeah, you can drive accurately and you will be fine. And now like luxury driving accurately is like really a luxury.
Yeah, with the increasing pressure on the business and moving fast, you need a whole new level of proficiency, right? Predicting how the system will behave when you put 10 times the loads and increase the availability requirements and so on. Yeah, that's why it's really interesting when people say don't go to clouds, okay? Like it is expensive, it is cumbersome, requires a separate SRE to do this, and so on. So it's not actually that complicated, right? If you narrow down to 3-4 components that you need, basically a database, a compute layer, maybe an API gateway in the front, that's like easy set of the components, but it's still scalable. And if you're going with the startups, you can get a lot of free credits there. So even the cost is not a concern at all, especially at the beginning when you don't consume any compute whatsoever. So just go there. It's like great stuff to time to market. Compared to having the servers provisioned and then managing everything yourself, you would better focus on the business problem rather than hardware.
Yeah, you like, obviously cloud is like another way to cut this corner. And at some point, you may get to position is like, hey, look, our cloud bill is probably like 2 times higher than we would pay for like on-prem. And we already have like some solid foundation, and we know what trade-off we're making by moving there, because like our scalability scaling is like, is it like good trade-off to make, or is it not good trade-off to make? It was also back in the days, one of the most uncomfortable trade-off we made back in the days with one company was decision not to build like warm second data center for it. And it was like literally big business decision. And we looked through it as like, hey, to building it, it's increasing second level complexity into the system. We'll have to build a lot of things. It's like, it would be expensive. Is it needed? Yeah. Is it the right thing to do? Hell yeah. Can we afford it? Well,
No.
that's the question. No, like it was a like company was able to afford it, to be clear. But discussion was basically like trade-off level is like, okay, we put in that amount of money into it. Cool. But if we don't have it, like what will happen? If we don't have it, we'll have to restore it. Like we estimated that we'll have like between 4 and 6 hours downtime for a system if by some reason like some big part of data center will go down. And it was like almost before the cloud. And I'm like, okay, but what the 6 hours of downtime will cost us? It will cost us this. Also, it will cost us like future contracts. We also have like some guesstimate of like what it will cost us like having this downtime. We're looking on the upfront cost, we're looking on this one, and the CEO also like, yeah, sounds like you have an argument not to build the like warm recovery center. And like, yes, sounds like, and we're all freaking uncomfortable on this decision, but for moving fast company, like I checked with them after a couple of years, that was like right decision in a sense, because it's reduced amount of complexity in the system, like significantly. Yeah, it's allowed team to move much faster. Risk was huge, and it was like sitting here in front of you. And like we did few things to like, okay, we need to have like proper procedure to mitigate this risk. Like if it like materialize at some point, we need to do a lot of things in meantime. But it was like one-time piece. And that type of mentality of like trade-offs and how you manage it, and like, okay, what I'm really cutting through, that's would be important, and understanding like, yeah, you know, like this one I cannot cut. Like this couple of things never should be sacrificed. This couple of things, yeah, whatever.
Yeah, exactly. This is what business is about, right?
Yeah.
So picking up the risk. Without a risk, you don't have a gain. You need to risk with something, otherwise there's no value. Right.
That's pretty much true.
So,
yeah, that's deep. No, you can have like exceptional returns only by taking some amount of risk. Because if you're not taking risks, you're doing what everyone else capable to do at the moment. So you have like average, and like average right now is like what ChatGPT can give you. So in a sense, you're getting what... No, you're joking, but my daughter right now putting like some stuff together with ChatGPT, which before like people... Yeah, it's... Before you would consider some proficiency level, now they're just doing it like casually during lunch break.
Oh, how old is she?
8.
Oh my god. Okay.
No, they progressing with prompting, they progressing with something. They know what they want. They're like, oh, I want this, this, and this. So like get average level. It's literally now 8 years old with ChatGPT. That's like that's where like bar is sitting.
Okay. Very nice.
Yeah.
All right. So what I wanted to ask is this AI fluency, right? So we spoke a lot about the expectations from the business for the engineers, but we didn't discuss what it takes to provide this. So this AI fluency. So what it requires, like understanding the AI landscape, understanding the tools.
Understanding
understanding
the tools, understanding limitation of the tools, and you never would understand limitation of a tool until you cross the line and it will fail you. So like literally pushing through the line and like seeing like what else I can get out of it, what else I can get out of it, and at some point you will see like yeah, it's currently here. It's start doing like bad job, and it start like disintegrating at some point. Like okay. That's my limitation of the tools. Actually, like knowing how to stitch all these things together and see like, even like freaking N8N workflows, like something. As you said, like I put like quick script together and I got a result. And seeing this basically like this iteration together with the tools becoming important. Like ChatGPT, Claude, Kiro, I'm not sure. Right now, all of them is like changing every freaking 2 months. So like your skills becoming pretty throwaway. Like if you're like, oh yeah, I nailed prompting for ChatGPT, and and then eventually
Yeah, here's your new model.
and then eventually, no, it's not even here's your new model. He's like, we take away your O3 model. And I'm like, damn,
Yeah.
I get the best result out of it. And this GPT-5 giving me like some gimmick instead of what I need, like get me my O3 back. And then you realize
that's why that's why I was bearish about all this prompting guides and like best prompt for a particular model. Come on, it's going to be deprecated in 2 weeks.
Yeah, your
So
prompts.
what do you learn?
Your prompts quickly becoming very high commodity because everyone will learn it through. Actually, like best thing out of this prompt engineering proficiency, like people becoming more and more accurate in what they said. And I saw the joke yesterday is literally like, you know what, like I start working with junior engineer with LLM model. So like what prompt I should put together to get best result? I'm like, yeah, that's about right. Thank you.
Amazing.
Yeah, but other stuff, I feel like getting actually AI will evolve and evolve rapidly. And my motto for a while in my career was actually investing into fundamental things. It's like what things actually would not change in 10 years. Reliability would not change, trade-offs would not change. Like AI would be leveraging, like understanding like what you can get out of this model and actually like how they work on some level is basically like what's the transformer architecture? Do you understand what's actually capability it have, or you just have like, oh, it's magical god which is giving me like beautiful answer? Like no, it's predictable model which is like giving you average thing.
Yeah, probably you need to understand what's the difference between the transformer architecture and the previous approaches, and what's the biggest leap that was made by this architecture, right? This parallel learning and having the context in the place unlocked basically this capability of LLMs to give you the text and generate all the other stuff, right? Also, you need to understand what's the different machine learning approaches will benefit the tasks that you need, right? So classification model, probably supervised. You need generating text, it's LLMs. Again, you have strict rules, no AI needed, like just code it. I think that's
but in a sense, like AI now, like quote unquote democratized data science. So if like something before required data science team in Netflix to build like detailed model and the amount of data you needed to train it, now you have this amount of data trained into transformer architecture, and also like together with like basic LLMs, also looking through like what other things happening around, because causal inference right now picking up a place, and people like, hey, we don't have like really good models about it, but to some level we start doing it. We joked about what we was building at some point. It's like, you know what, like we built our own reasoning model in a sense. Like literally like prompts together sticked with a couple of things, but we have like our own reasoning for part which we need. And that's like orchestrate several AI agents, because like O3, like ChatGPT did not give us enough precision which we needed. So like, okay, we still freaking break it down into a couple of places. Like we're doing this, we're doing this, we're doing that. And then it's like, and then I'm focusing back. And then you get in real results of what you need. So basically like knowing limitations, how to get it through. For example, I was reading like great papers recently about forecasting. And before, building forecasting models took you a while and you needed like massive amount of data and everything. Now, transformer-based models actually can predict on very limited data set forecast values forward. Like AWS forecast, I forget how the service was called, require you like massive lift. Now, do I get the same precision which I would get like from proper ML model? Not really. Do I need this precision? Not really.
Yeah, that's the question.
No, not really. Like, exactly. And we're looking through like, with a plus minus 5%, that's a reasonable thing can give us what before was not really available in like for cheaper cost. So point being is a lot of things become dramatically less expensive, and your ability to know what's become less expensive and like basically rewire your couple of previous instincts, which was telling you like, oh, this one is like required 10 people data science team. No, this one required 8 years old right now with curiosity.
That's a highlight of a video.
That's one of
Yeah,
the things.
exactly.
But other part, system thinking, like foundational piece, still like becoming, from my perspective, even more crucial. Because otherwise, you still will be in this like vibe coder 8 years old camp where they can progress to the certain level and then things like just disassemble itself because it was not reliable enough. So
Yeah. So basically, the question right now is not either you can code. It's the question if you can go from wipe-coded prototype to a business reliable solution that will be able to scale with your customers.
and like
So that still waiting on this staff engineer bump. Stop just shipping tickets. Start designing systems your CFO can brag about. Business-oriented system design course 10 weeks, live sessions, and asynchronous personalized feedback. 70 plus alumni from Booking.com, Bolt, and Flow Health report a 50% average compensation increase within 6 months. Apply now at observability.dev business-oriented system design course and use YouTube20 promo code to get a 20% discount.
And also look for a bottleneck, what kind of bottleneck you have and like how you can eliminate them. Because I have like a couple of people I worked before, I can call them friends right now, basically who work in like very deep system engineering of things. And one of the person is like, hey, we're not using AI for what we're doing. It's like no AI trained enough to like supercharge us. Because they usually like what his company doing, they optimizing like networking and all this stuff for multiplayer games. So they usually come in a position when like people already screwed up something and they helping them to unscrew it. It's like totally different game, but still for them there is like places where they can supercharge their day-to-day workflow. Or like another of my friends, engineer for Datadog application performance monitoring, also Java APM tooling, it's not something you will wipe code with LLM.
Oh, exactly.
But what he find out interesting, he's like, yeah, I have tons of pull request. And like even using AI for pull request review for them is not an option. Because lot of complexity.
Why?
Complexity is pretty high for code base. So like literally what's the APM doing, it's modifying bytecode of Java application. So you're operating inside JVM and you like messing up with JVM. It's like not really like code review pull up instead of like naming and everything. But what he did, he like, I was looking for a way to focus myself on specific areas where my attention needed the most. And they have like hundreds of pull requests every month. And he like, yeah, I build AI for myself, not to code review, but to measure literally impact and complexity of pull requests. And it will highlight me like, yeah, this one is complex, this one is not complex, this one is like touching very critical part of the system. You definitely want to review it as like literally flagging it. And he reduced some amount of work for himself. So now instead of like guesswork and like what I should look across 100, he's like, okay, my attention needed here, here, and here. Rest, that's probably fine. Some other people can review it. But yeah, that's also will be proficiency level from my perspective. Is like how I can supercharge you. Like your example is beautiful. Like how I can supercharge my StarCraft skills with AI. Literally.
Yeah, exactly.
And, yesterday I was on some marketing conference, and people also start saying the same stuff. They're like, yeah, you cannot get like full result with AI, but we're getting like drafts, we're getting like first versions very quickly, and then we're like getting it from average level to the great level. They're like, we cannot afford mediocre type of stuff. we will be we'll go in oblivion. But we can get the same level what's everyone getting in the 2 minutes instead of we getting through it for a while.
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah,
becoming
I was yeah. Recently, I was listening to an interview with one of the guys in the Silicon Valley who's trying to use AI for some chemicals and biology research. And what they were saying is that the biggest advantage in learning is actually having a tutor, right? So you have two times fold improvement for everybody, basically, when you introduce a private tutor. The mediocre people go to exceptional results, right? And people lagging behind go to the norm or even beyond, above expectations. This is what it's called. So now with AI, we're close to having this, right? So you literally can train ChatGPT to help you learning something, learning a new language, learning a new skill, advancing in software architecture or whatever skill you need. So yeah, so basically we're finally we start emerging from the position AI will replace us all to AI role is the assistant, which can supercharge people.
Yep.
And
for learning, one of the things which is crucial, because, and it's even in software engineering and everywhere, to learn something you need a feedback loop, and you need high fidelity feedback loop. So something which will tell you hey, this one did not work out, this one you did great and everything. Because sometimes people saying oh, you need multiple repetitions. No, if you repeat stuff 100 of times but never get a feedback from it, is it working, is it not working or something, you don't know. And that's probably love software engineering, because you're having relatively fast feedback loop. You build something, you put it, it's working, it's not working, people using it, that's kind of thing. But in a learning environment, it would be important the same. It's hey, can I get some feedback for what I'm doing? Can I get highlights to what I'm getting? And it will get you from 0 to average level pretty fast, because you can have as much of feedback as you have available time. And honestly, most of the time you don't need 10,000 hours. It's probably should be another podcast about it. But you need 100 repetition with high fidelity, very accurate feedback for it, and you already get to the level where everyone else is. After it will take you another journey to get proficient with something. But again, joking back on my previous examples, do you really need it? Do you really need super level of proficiency, or for what you need right now, you will be good with average level?
Yeah, the old meme about interview for the job and actual job.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. What's we doing at the job? And that's probably the point from my friend who built a mobile application. Do they really need to be super proficient how to build iOS applications? No, but they can progress quite far by knowing how to put it into the things. And one of opposite side of mentalities, which I saw several times already, and people kind of resisting to it, not because they cannot do it, but because they're oh, it's not my job, or it's not my real proficiency, or I'm getting into where I never been, stuff like this. And that's what literally stopping. I literally saw product managers who yeah, take Lovable, take something put this together. You will literally put it in I'm not sure. You will put it in a weekend. And the person resisted for months and months, and they're yeah, no.
Oh my god!
Yeah, literally, it's level of anxiety there was very high, and yeah, and you every time will find out something other reason why it's not topmost priority right now, and person but yeah, I still want to progress with this idea. I'm I told you already 5 times. Take a Lovable, put your idea into it. You need 5 sentences. You will start getting. And
actually, I was having an idea of another thing called the tower defense games, and I wanted to vibe code something, and all these replies or Lovable, they failed miserably. They cannot do anything with it. It's not working at all, and that's a very interesting phenomena. I even go several prompting. Like I asked one model to prompt me, to give me a proper prompt to actually generate the game. Then put this prompt into the next LLM and tried several solutions with this prompt. Nothing worked. Like I gave up eventually, but at least I tried.
Yeah, and it's true, and that's what I'm talking about, like knowing limitations. You tried it, you find out like, okay, here's the limit. This will not progress forward.
Yeah.
Cool, peace. Now you take in real tools and go fixing it. I observe actually
exactly.
opposite scenario where people continue beating like Claude code or something. Is like, hey, can you finish? Can you fix it? Can you like do it? And Claude code is just like go in circles because it's already in level of ambiguity it cannot handle, and that's it. I'm like, you need to stop doing it, and you literally need to go and fix couple of fix yourself. And that probably will become one of interesting challenges from my perspective in future years, is basically skills, if you're not using them, quickly like diminishing. You're forgetting stuff. You cannot forget how to ride a bicycle, but it will take you time to ride it again if you did not do it for like few years. And that's would be like trick. It's like you know how with pilots in a plane, when they introduce it after pilot, they actually introduce it also good set of specific training and program for pilots to keep a skills when like after pilot apparently did not work. And like part of the training, part of like education and everything, it's shifted from like you just need to fly and you need to fly more to like, okay, how you acting on emergency pieces, how you reacting, like what's kind of like failure mode scenarios can happen, and do you have skills to to deal with failure modes? Like your engine got down, like your database got down, like what you doing about it? And because you're not practicing it often and speed is increasing, actually like skills of like how to quickly deal with like edge cases becoming also more important, surprisingly. So like in some sense, I don't envy anyone who's like getting into technology space right now and building career, because the gap is widened significantly. You need to be dirty fast, and at the same time, you need to be like reliable. And in the long run, you need to be able to build it in a reliable way, which was not the case in the past.
That means that your approaches to learning should shift as well, right? So instead of just passing courses or reading books, you need to put much more practice in it, right? So you read a chapter, then you ask AI to summarize it, then ask AI to provide you a relevant exercise that you can build, right? So then you go to Lovable or something, or Cursor or Copilot or whatever, you build with it, you see how it works and what's breaking there, right? And then you learn on the fly, and that's a much more efficient way to learn stuff rather than just read a book.
I feel like reading a book right now is like good precursor for a cursor, but you cannot get the skills anywhere from like trying. So like you literally like you read the SRE book, and everyone know about 4 golden signals for API. Go freaking implement them. Go like start seeing, like put some dummy API service out and see actually like how it's behaving. Or you're learning about, I'm sure, how Netflix is managing huge traffic. You will never have like your Netflix level of traffic, but build some synthetic example for it. Get like how this framework was called, Gatling, for load testing. Get something which will generate you some reasonable traffic and see how your system will behave under it. You will burn, I'm not sure, some amount of money on AWS, but honestly, my MacBook probably capable right now to do a lot of stuff. Like to be frank, my MacBook right now is more powerful than my whole setup with like bunch of like rack servers 10 years ago. So like it can run a lot of things.
True.
So like experiment it, see how it will evolve, learn it from nature, like pass the limit. Pass the boundaries and see like when things will break, and then like that's how it's breaking. Cool. Now I learned something.
That was a funny conversation. Nevertheless,
that was really great. Thank you, Ed. I appreciate it.
Today we learned that AI is not a mere hype, but rather a tool unlocking the lightning-fast execution. The competition will eliminate players who can't keep up with the market speed. And the role of engineers and product managers shift. Now they're true business problem solvers, leveraging technology. The code quality slightly decreases in value, as more and more code will be throwaway and easily replaceable thanks to AI. So does it still matter if your code is clean, or maybe it should be in production as soon as possible? Let me know in the comment section, and don't forget to leave your superpower like.